Hello and welcome back to Blue Tinted Glasses. It is Monday, which means it's time for the live call-in show. Anil, mate, how are you doing?
Well, me, I'm actually quite buzzing. Maybe unlike all of our panel who's about to call in, but if you haven't heard, I have officially signed for Blue Tinted Glasses FC. So I know they don't look blue on the camera, but can you see there's a little tweak there? So it's all right because I can already see that a lot of people are going to be dropping out of the stream early if they see me wearing these things. So I'm going to leave them. But yes, I'm doing very well. How are you, Locks?
I'm very good too, mate, for the same reason. It's brilliant. Yeah, great stuff. Yeah, I mean, now we can just smash on, go for it, and keep bringing loads of content out, which we will continue to do, of course. If anybody didn't know, if you haven't seen yet, there is a match analysis already on the channel from Anil for the Ipswich game, which is brilliant stuff. So after this live, if you haven't seen it yet, go and check that out. Okay, the live call-in show. If anybody is new here, this is how it works. So I'm going to just add everybody in one by one, one at a time. And you can talk about whatever you want. You can talk about the Leicester game, the Ipswich game, sorry. Talk about the upcoming game against Man United, or you can talk about the manager, whatever you want, right? Whatever you want. So just let us know when we add you what you want to talk about, and we will do so. We've already got a couple people waiting in the in the back room, so we will start it off. I hope he's ready because he's doing a lot of moving. Reese is going to start us off tonight. So here he is. Hello, mate. How you doing?
All right, lads. How are we?
Yeah, good, thanks. I told you last week and the week before, get here for 7, and you finally listened.
I told you I would.
Good stuff. Your uncle is also here, but I thought I'd get you in before him.
Cheers, mate.
What do you fancy talking about tonight, mate?
Well, first of all, Anil, congratulations, mate. Probably the best move to make. I'm really buzzing for the pair up. So congrats. Brilliant. Second of all, that video was absolutely fantastic. That analysis video, spot on. Absolutely spot on. So my question is, so with the way we were playing on Saturday, obviously it was like the Enzo ball way. You've got the back three, the two holding midfielders, and then the two advanced eights. Now, obviously, it was KDH and Ndidi last season. And my question is, do you think Samare, with his better skill, his better technical ability, could do a better job than Wilfred Ndidi in that role?
Let me ask you, Locks, first. I mean, this is a spicy, but great question, by the way. It always comes in hot with the good ones, I've got to say.
Who was that? Which player?
Booba.
Samare.
Booba. Well, look, I am one of these kind of emotional fans that kind of loses my head for the good or the bad stuff as soon as I see it. And I mean, I lost my head with Samara. I was like, yes. I love it. So, and I've been very critical of him. And mate, it's the same with Daka, right? If Daka comes back and starts scoring goals, I'll be like, yes, this is the man. This is the way forward. So the thing though with Samari is that we've seen it before. We have seen this. This has happened before, where he comes into a game and he looks really good, and then we're like, okay, yeah, this is the guy that we spent the money on, and then suddenly it just disappears. And that's the worry, I think, in the back of everyone's head. You know, even the most optimistic would say, yeah, what, you know, is that going to continue? So I do think there is potential for him to start games over Wilfred Ndidi for sure. I mean, even Manny, who is like the biggest Wilfred Ndidi fan, even he kind of hinted at it on the weekend about maybe Samari playing in there and, you know, driving the ball forward. He is really good at that. Even a bit of skill on the ball as well. We've seen in the past, doing a bit of a roulette and stuff like that. So I think it's exciting. It's almost like if he can continue it, it's like we've got a new signing. It's like we've got a brand new £30 million signing that's just joined us, even though he's been here for like 4 years. So I think he can do a job there, and I think he would have to play alongside Skip or Ndidi. Skip or Ndidi for me, which then is like, how does the midfield look then after that? Winks, where's Winks going? Where is Samari going? Could Samari be a high 8? I made a comment on the instant match reaction. Could Samari be the Dewsbury Hall replacement? And Neil was like, no. But I don't know. I like it. But yeah, and Neil, mate, go on.
I'd love to see him tried there. I mean, Michael's put here in the comments, and I agree, Samare's had 5 good minutes in 3 years, which I think is fair enough. But obviously, he came from the French champions. And it's funny, I have to say, post-match, at first, I think people are getting a bit carried away with him. But then when I was doing the analysis and looking at him, I was like, damn, he really was quite good, right? It wasn't just for the goal. It was before that. He was doing wicked line-breaking passes. I think what's interesting is that by the end, it was just like proper chaos. Like, what even system were we playing? Because he took off Ricardo and Christensen. So I couldn't quite work out if he was playing as a 6 or an 8, because you had El Canoes on at the same time. So I think basically everyone was a cam at that point in time. But if you look at him, he was physical. And, the things that we never saw from Samare is that, like, he seemed to lack the sort of, like, appetite for wanting to win the ball back and go up the other end. Like, it always seemed like the Premier League was a bit too physical for him. So seeing him, he did it a few times, just shrugging off Morsey there and then driving up the line and shrugging up another challenge. I mean, maybe Cooper, to be fair, has had the word with him and said, you need to add this to your game to have any chance here. So, look, I would like to see it happen. It's a bit of a shame he got knocked out of the cup, because he could have played some games there. I mean, I got a question for you, Reece. Do you think he'll play in the next game? A lot of people were giving him a shout after that performance.
It's a difficult one, because obviously Man U, Big Six club, I'd always say play Ndidi in those games. But Man U are vulnerable. They're very vulnerable, and we can get at their back foot. They're poor. They're piss poor. They're not a great side. And I also think with Samare, he is the most technically gifted out of all the midfielders we've got. He's got more skill. I think he's got the most tenacity to get forward. It was like watching Yaya Toure, because I think it was Wolves a couple of seasons ago when we went down. He ran past about 5 or 6 players to get forward to the box, and I was like, fucking hell, that's like watching Yaya Toure. There's potential there, but my Clibbo, my uncle, said he hasn't had a manager that can consistently get 90 minutes out of him. It's always been 40 minutes here, 60 minutes there. It's has been a little bit inconsistent, which I get fans' point about, it's a bit too soon. But I think it could be a very technically good decision for Cooper to bring him into the side, because I think we would get forward a lot quicker with him on the ball than Ndidi.
I agree. To be fair, the parallels when we signed him were like, oh yeah, he's the next Yaya Toure. And I remember being on the Just Joe football show a long time ago now, and I think I'd just seen a couple of games of him, and I went on there and I was like, yeah, this guy, Yaya Toure, this guy. And then obviously it turned out he was absolutely shite for a long time. But no, there are definitely signs there, and we knew this anyway. We've never said he's a terrible player. We just said that. Some people say it's lazy. I never wanted to call it lazy. I was more thinking like, is the league too quick for him? Is he just not built for this league? But again, like you just said, Ben, and like we saw United and then Ipswich, he looked very good and he made a big impact. So look, we'd all be buzzing if it continues. We'd be buzzing with that. So. There's a quick comment here from Ray. He said, Booba reminded me an American football linebacker, made the tackle, recovered the fumble, and brought it right to the goal line. Amazing.
That's a great comment.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyler says, Ray, as someone who watches American football, that's an oddly accurate assessment. So there we go. I mean, I think Ray is from America as well. So there we go. So, all right, Reece, thank you so much for clicking in, mate. Again, good timing.
Pleasure.
Make sure you click in early next time as well. All right?
I will do, mate. I'm gonna keep doing it just to get one over you, Locks. Just to get one over you.
Well, you beat your uncle. You were literally here before your uncle. So see who wins next week. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
See you next week.
See you soon.
See you, Reece.
Lovely stuff. Thank you to Reece. Let's get his uncle on now then. So this is the order, by the way, at the moment for people in the chat in the back room. It's Clibbo, Ragsy, and then it's Ross. So there we go. So let's start with Clibbo. Hello, mate. How you doing?
I'm all good. Yeah, so my question relates to the Chelsea match. I just wondered, I want your opinions on how much influence, given the significance of the game and the importance of getting something from it potentially, how much influence the players, particularly the ones that played under Enzo, will have over the decisions of who's playing what tactics. Because I personally think there's going to be some kind of rumblings before that happens, where the players are going to say, this is how we think he will play. This is the best way to deal with it. And will Cooper put up with it?
Great question. What do you think, Locks?
Look, it's gonna play on their minds 100%, and it'll play on Cooper's mind as well, because he'll know he knows the significance of it. I mean, some people will play dumb and be like, no, the players don't care, they're professionals. I mean, at the start of the season, the Leicester did the socials team did a little promo and said, who do you want on the first game of the season? And a couple players said Chelsea, we want Chelsea, and obviously that was because of the Enzo link. So it'd be interesting. I mean, look, we've heard rumors all season about that the players have a big influence. Cooper asks the players about tactical decisions and all of this, and we don't know to what extent of that is true. It would seem true because we've seen us leaning more towards that of recent. But yeah, I as to how the game's going to go, I mean, I think it's going to affect them, and I think if it was an embarrassing defeat, and when I say an embarrassing defeat, I mean 3, 4, 5. They make us look silly. We barely get near them. I think that could actually be the end of Cooper. I know it's Chelsea. And I know we're not going to expect to win. And I know they're having quite a good start. But I think it could just all blow up at that stage because the fans are going to be like, I don't know, the whole atmosphere, I can just feel it being quite weird. And I think it could blow up from that stage. But go on, Enel.
Sorry, just to say, if you go toe-to-toe with Enzo's system, given the level of players that we've got compared to them. And I think that's probably what the players would like to do and challenge themselves. But I think it's like a good big and beats a good little. And I think that could be a real embarrassment. So will Cooper sort of fight against potentially what they want and go with this very defensive, negative system?
I got to say, for me, I'm terrified of that game for all the reasons you've pointed out. I think you've put the nail on the head. I think they will want to play their system. I think they will want to show Enzo that they can match it. And I think they'll probably find out that they can't. Yeah. And I don't necessarily know if it will be a heavy defeat, although I got to say, I don't know if you saw that game when they played Wolves earlier in the season where they were absolutely electric. They've had a few games they were very good. But I think obviously the thing that would scare me is that, like, who's going to know the weakness to that system, and not just the system, but the players. He's going to know, like, oh, Ricky, if you go at this angle, he struggles, attack him here, or, Fatawi's not good at doing this. So, I'm not really positive about that game, to be honest. But I don't think Cooper will change it. I think player power is ruling at the moment. But I look, controversially, I think maybe he deserves a bit of praise from it because, like, I think it's more fun to watch the team when we're playing at our best. Okay, sure, there were definitely periods against Ipswich where we were second best, but like the first 15 minutes were good. And I'd far rather see us play that sort of stuff than, when we beat Bournemouth, that second half was just so dire, just like not even having the shot on goal. It's just so awful. So, and unless that's the only opportunity we've got, maybe we'll do that against Man City. I'd rather see us have a go. I treat it as like a free hit, to be honest with you. But I think when I come to do the prediction, I'm not going to be very favourable on what I think. I mean, how do you think the game will go when it comes around?
I was going to say, Clibber, I was going to ask you, how do you think it will go? But also, what do you think the reception will be like for Enzo Maresca as well?
I think it will be very mixed. And I think, obviously you've seen me on quite a few of the podcasts. It's a very mixed opinion from last season, isn't it? Me personally, I found it hard to watch at times. At times it was really, really pretty. But again, it's like a lot of people are saying at the minute, you're losing flair players. It's all about systems and very sort of robotic. And I think a lot of people last year were a bit fed up with that. So I think the reception, like it has been online with these chats, I think it will be the same in the ground. I don't think he'll get booed or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. But I think I'm not sure what Cooper's mental strength is going to be like, because I think we will find out not only a lot more about how we want to play going forward, but I think we'll find out a lot about Cooper's mental strength. Because despite what anyone thinks of him, that's a very tough gig against Chelsea for all of the wrong reasons.
Yep. Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I couldn't agree more. And maybe Enzo even gets in our minds even more and actually starts Kieran Dewsbury Hall. That would not surprise me if he did something.
Of course
like that
he will.
well.
Of course he will, and he's got that over Cooper, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, mate, Dewsbury, would he be the best player on the pitch for us this season? You could argue, maybe so. And
well, it'd be my first on the team sheet, just because he's young, energy, and driving that ball forward. All right, it's in the Premier League, but I think he could have done it for us with a high percentage. And he's not getting that opportunity at Chelsea. I feel a little bit sorry for him, and it's quite easy to get lost in the squad of players at Chelsea, whether you're talented or not.
You would have thought he would have thought about all this stuff, though, before he left. You would have thought.
Well, I think there's a responsibility for the club, really, to have found him a club where he's not going to be in the odd match here in Europe. Europe and Premier League is very different styles of football. There's nothing to do. The pace can be dictated by a continental team and things like that. So I think you don't progress that way. And I feel, yes, we had to get rid of him, but I do feel that the club had a responsibility to get somewhere. I think he could have played for a Brighton or someone like that.
Well, they were interested in him. I've got a feeling, to be honest with you, that he actually did want to go to Chelsea. And I don't know about just to share. Like, I've been in a situation before where I've gone from one, like a manager of mine in a job has gone to another place, and then they've kind of asked you to come with them, and because you're close with them and you know them and they know you, you kind of feel almost like, yeah, that is going to be a good fit. And it doesn't always turn out like that. And I think that maybe played a part as well with Enzo going there. He probably did. That contributed to the decision. But no, I hear what you're saying. I think he would have been better off at maybe Brighton or anywhere really, Newcastle, somewhere like that. You know what I mean? Aren't kind of the traditional big six, but will be fighting for the top six. So. All right, Clibo, thank you so much, mate. Thanks for clicking in. Much appreciated. Hopefully, we'll see you next week as well, mate. All right, to review the United game.
See you, Clibo.
Cheers, Clibo, mate.
Cheers.
Thank you very much. Okay, this guy has been waiting a long time, and he always waits a long time, so I think it's only fair to get him in a bit earlier this time. Ragsy, how are you, mate?
How's it going, lads? First of all, big up Anil, by the way. That's like Cambiasso level signing there. Signing to
it is. I'm very great. Yeah, 100%.
For the age, exactly.
Not the hair. You've got more hair.
Hold up whiskey for that. Yeah, that's what we want. No, that was wicked. So yeah, today I think just I'll give like a bit of analysis on Ipswich and try and find a question from it. Like I think. Looking from the game, because you're thinking as to like one of your questions, what was it? Was it a point gained or 2 points dropped? I think heading into it, especially that first 10 minutes, and we're getting things moving, we're like playing out from the back and we're quite concise with it. And you're thinking, yes, we're getting through their press easily. I was really surprised by how poor Ipswich were in terms of their setup and how passive they were. And I was thinking after those 10 minutes, like as soon as we get a goal, we could have an absolute field day there. Then for the next 70 minutes, it was shocking, just dreadful. We were just too hasty and rash to go and clear the ball. I don't know what possessed the players to deviate away from what was working in that first 10 minutes just to be like clear it long. And for Ipswich, it's for their defenders especially. It's food and drink, just booting the ball long. And the times Manson was doing it, Christensen was doing it. It was just wasteful, and we kept on giving them chance after chance and opportunity after opportunity. And you're just waiting for them to grasp a moment of quality, and they did with their goal. Great goal. And I wasn't even pissed. I was just, it was going to happen. Of course, it was going to happen. Then we get a bit of luck because Calvin Phillips is an absolute idiot and gets himself sent off. And then we're playing against 10 men and we're thinking, oh, okay, we could come back in here and then play the last 10 minutes. And it shows really how like Ipswich for them, like they've got a reality check coming into this league. Like they weren't getting the luck that they were getting last season. Teams weren't sort of falling apart in front of their eyes for them to go and take chances. Like we could turn up for 20 minutes and still manage to get a point. So I do agree with Cooper to an extent that it is a better point for us than it is for them. However, what I would say onto that, I know I'm kind of long-winded with it, but I'll try and hurry up. But it's when it comes to our remit for why Cooper was signed, at the minute, we're passing our remit. We're 15th or whatever it is. We've got a bit of a gap over the relegation zone. So we're on target to go and stay up. So I personally believe the board are kind of pleased. They're not really taking any notice of it. And Cooper's kind of sort of satisfied for where we are. But my question is that, is it eventually going to be, are we eventually going to see a divide in the fan base? And it's particularly at the home games as well. Because I guarantee if this continues by the end of the season, I think even if we stay up or go down, we're going to be seeing half empty stadiums. I don't know whether you agree with that.
It's going to be soon. And, you know, I fell into the trap, which I think Ragsy fell into, because Ragsy recently has been a very positive guy. I haven't got the free Ragsy emoji, sorry, the GIF, so I haven't got that, which is a shame. I wish I still did. But I think you fall in the same trap as I did. You know, yes, I don't agree that this manager should be here, but when you look at the table and back-to-back wins, it's like, okay, yeah, fair enough. You've got to give credit. But then again, you look back and say, look at the teams that we've played. I mean, 4 out of the 10 games, 4 of them are below us that we played. And, you know, I just think that with the games we've got coming up, I mean, Man United, Chelsea, Villa's in there somewhere, Newcastle's in there, Man City's in there somewhere. That's not going to end well. And it wouldn't surprise me if we only got 1 point in the next 5. It wouldn't surprise me. And if that is the case, if it is 1 from the next 5, that will be in the bottom 3. And then it's then when the majority, I think, will start to sway towards the out. Because I'd say it's 50-50 now. And we're out of the relegation zone. What happens when we're in it? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'll pass to you, Anil, to get your thoughts on it all.
Well, we heard that it was toxic at the end of the Forest game already. So I think that shows you that you're probably onto something, Ragsy, already. That I think already fan base is a bit divided. They're not feeling we're getting the most out of things with this manager. So it definitely could say. Yeah, I think the funny thing is despite the fact that we're already not that pleased, we haven't actually hit the sticky patch yet, right? So you're going to get one. Even in a successful season, you're going to get a sticky patch, right? We had one even when we won the title. We had like a few games, you know, we like missed that penalty against Bournemouth at home and things like that. So I think that'll be the big test of him. I think he's got to get them on side soon. But I don't know. My gut feeling is I actually think we will stay up. He will still be manager till the end of the season. But I've said I don't think he will last at the end of the season. I think there's just the undercurrent is there. I just don't think... Who it doesn't look like the players really like him, doesn't look like the fans really like him. It's not a good way to, you know, is he more or less popular than Claude Puel? That's a question I'll ask for you, Ragsy.
Oh, like, I think Claude Puel, it's just kind of, I don't really want to brand this on certain supporters, but like they're just not having a foreigner. I'm saying that. I think like, and they will probably actually gravitate a bit towards Cooper, and they'll lap up whatever he says in the press conferences to get everybody on side and say, "Oh yeah, we're a team," and they'll just look to that and be like, "Yeah, you know, he's give him a bit of time. He deserves it. Is because he speaks well. That's it. Nothing to do with the football whatsoever."
PR Cooper.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're dealing with. Like, I don't hate Cooper. I don't like. That's not my problem. Don't have any sort of ill blood towards him. And this is the frustrating thing, is because like it's a manager that should have never been hired in the first place. And really, if you want to look at the bigger issues, it's up top. It's the board, and it's Rudkin. And
don't get Manny started.
Well,
Manny's on soon.
He can have his say afterwards. We can, and I'll be joining him afterwards and stuff, so we can have a chat there. But you want to talk about the people who, you know, assign this sort of remit and that aligns with us. I don't resonate with that remit whatsoever. I look at this side, look at the money that's been spent, look at the money that fans are paying, and go, I don't want to be even at a 60-70% chance that we stay up just because 3 teams are worse than us. I don't want to be back in that. I want to be assured, knowing this team is a Premier League team, because that's what we should be getting. And I want to see a future with it. I want to see longevity. Who's coming through from the youth? Who's a potential contingency plan for Jamie Vardy in a few years' time? Like, what's happening with the stadium expansion? Any sort of like vision or just something just to like look forward to in the future. Right now, when you look to that, any sort of vision, it's non-existent.
Yeah,
but that's where
mate,
I stand anyway.
I hear what you're saying, mate. There is somebody in the chat. I won't reveal who, but they will be on. It's not Manny. I will say that.
Okay.
Somebody has just said only a loser would back 17th. Awful mindset.
I agree.
So there we go. So Ragsy, mate, there's loads of people waiting, so I'm gonna have to let you go. Thanks for jumping in, mate. We'll see you very soon on the channel. Cheers, pal. Thank you so much. Foss Hub at Foss Hub. I think they're just called at Foss Hub on Twitter. Ragsy does a lot of stuff with them, so go and check that out. Right up next is Ross. Is he on a bus? Is he on a train? Is he on a plane? I did see a green screen with a tractor tire. So, Ipswich, of course. Here he is.
Yes. Oh, you've seen it then. So, for those who don't know what happened on Coach 2, on the way down to Ipswich on the A14, this happened. So, yeah, the tire decided to have a bit of a mind of its own and fall off. So, yeah, stuck on the A14 for an hour, which was quite fun.
I saw you on Alex Griffin's YouTube channel, mate, on the weekend. I don't know. Did you see Reedy on it as well? When
right now,
hold on. How funny was that when they said, "Can we take a selfie?" Because Reedy was stood there with a girl, and they said, "Can we take a selfie?" But he cropped Reedy out of the selfie.
Do you know what, right?
I love you, Reedy, but that was funny, man. That was funny.
I mean, that video he made about if you could support another Midlands club. God, if you watch it back, you won't love after what he said. He said he'd support Aston Villa if Leicester weren't a club.
Who said that?
Reedy.
Oh well.
I said Coville Town. To be fair.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, mate, what do you want to talk about? Ipswich?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, do you know what? Soumare doesn't get the credit he deserves. Soumare. Without Soumare, we wouldn't have drawn that game.
Well, I think he is getting the credit he deserves. I think there's been a lot of hype about him.
I mean, it's good. I mean, do you know what? Obviously, I was there, and obviously it was a bit when they scored, and then Calvin Phillips decided he was, just wanted to get sent off.
Horrible. Knob. That's all I say. Knob.
Yeah, I mean, twice we did get away with it. I thought it was a penalty, I'll be honest. From my view, obviously, we only get to see it once. Obviously, everyone watching at home watches it about 100 times in slow-mo, 100 times slow-mo. We watch it in one clip, and that's it. And I thought it's definitely a Stonewall penalty. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. We should have had one last year, but that's what it is. Soumare, great. And when he came on, fantastic. Shrugged off two players, literally just flicked them off like a fly on your shoulder. Like, they're getting you off. And obviously the build-up was fantastic. Great set from IU to Vardy to IU, and oh wow, it was incredible.
How nicely was that pass weighted by Vardy? I mean, I know Anil touched on it as well in his analysis, but it was beautiful, wasn't it, Anil?
Oh, it was absolutely beautiful. Honestly, it was more beautiful than my burger I had there as well. Absolutely brilliant. But do you know what? This Sunday, massive 6 points of relegation scrap between us and Man U on Sunday. I tell you. I said this last week, and I'll say it again. They're only 2 points ahead of us. You can shrug your head all you want, Locks, but they are at the minute.
They're more now, aren't they? I know because they drew as well, didn't they?
They drew with Chelsea, And do you know what? I think we can go there with a better mindset than last Wednesday, when I spent £42, £6 a goal. By the way, throw that there.
Bargain.
I didn't even spray my hair. Because I wasn't going to spray my hair to see Danny Walker and see 5 goals. No way. So that's why I didn't spray my hair on that one. But we'll go in a bit better mindset. There's a better team out there. Soumare, I think he could start. I don't know about you guys, but I think Soumare deserves a start on Sunday.
He's got to be pushing for it, isn't he? He's got to be pushing for it. But
100%. And I think with IU, right, everyone says we should start IU, but I think IU starts better when he comes come off the bench.
Maybe they both do. Maybe they both do.
Didn't have the best of games, on Saturday. He just couldn't get into the game. But do you know what I think should start on Sunday? El Canoes over Mavadini.
Oh, on the left-hand side. And that's an interesting one. Well, I've got to say, Mavadidi's probably had 3 off games now in a row, isn't he? So, to be honest, I think it would be only fair to drop him from the team for that. Not that he's a bad player, but, you know, you can't just be carrying passengers in the team. Someone should come in. Whether it's him or not, obviously, they tried Casey McAteer in that position, but he didn't really do too much either, did he? So, I'm not against it, but, you know, depends on what we want. Obviously, the system, you want to get the winger exposing their players one-on-one, and United, their fullbacks aren't the best. There'll be Diego Dallo against him, won't he? So, no, they moved Diego Dallo, I think, over to the other side. But regardless, you know, that's who are we trying to expose, or Mazrui. So we need someone good up against there. We might need someone who's got pace, but I wouldn't be up against it for sure.
What do you think to this one, Ross? Are you on the left instead of Mavadidi?
This is what I've just said a minute ago. My opinion, I don't think Ayew should start. I think if he comes on about the 60th, 65th minute, gets into the game, and I think that'd be brilliant. Listen, I'm not knocking Ayew, you know, because at the end of the day, he's the reason we've got 4 points. 4 more points than what? We've got 10 games, 10 points, so it's technically a point a game. And touch wood, that's a wall behind me. We've scored in every game this season at the minute. In every league game, should I say.
Every league game.
I mean, unfortunately, I'm working on Sunday, so I can't go, hence the reason why I had a consolation prize of paying £42 to see a Wage Stealer in goal, but it is what it is. And do you know what? I reckon we can win before, obviously, that other geezer manager comes in. You know, I don't see 2 o'clock kickoffs is Sunday.
Who? Oh, before Anmarin, yeah,
whatever he's called, some random geezer from it. I generally think we could get a win. And like
Go on, give us your score prediction. End us off with your score prediction there, Ross.
3-2 Leicester. I think, like I said, it's a big 6-pointer. 2 teams going at it down the relegation. And I just think it'll be a very good game. So,
yep, fair enough, Ross, mate. Well, next Monday, make sure you come back onto the call in after the game on Monday. And
yes, I will. Season starts on Sunday. So
we'll say that every week, and we'll say it every week. Cheers, Ross. See you in a bit, mate. See you in a bit. Up next is Manny. Here he is.
Oh,
hello, mate. Mute again. Oh, what's this? This is shocking. This is twice in a row now. He's on mute. Two streams in a row. Mate, it's in StreamYard. Hold on. Hello? You have to unmute in StreamYard.
Sorry.
Hey.
Sorry, everyone.
Yeah, there we go. Here's the Manny love in the chat. Here is the Manny.
Yeah, bring the Manny love up. Let's get that up. Congratulations first to both of you. Well done.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
The fun ends already. Look at our fixture list, boys. We've got 2 months of torture coming up ahead of us. And I've got a feeling in about 6 or 7 games' time, we'll be having a Monday night call-in chat, and the discussion will be who else is out there and available that might replace our manager should the board decide to make a decision. Because I just don't see the next 7 or 8 games going particularly well. There's a couple of winnable games in there. We've got home to Wolves, and we've got home West Ham. But apart from that, this is a really good test for our team. If we can nick a point and away at these games, it's not a point at Southampton or a point at Ipswich. These are actual tough games. Any point here really is worth a point, absolutely. But I'm struggling to see where we're going to get points from. How do you feel?
Just before, I know I want you to answer it, but just before you do, somebody asked, will you be applying for the role of manager at Leicester City?
Can't be doing manager. Just put me in the scout role. Not manager. I can't handle all those personalities, but definitely players. Players is my favourite topic ever. It all comes down to recruitment. We've been talking about Arsenal with some friends today. It always comes down to recruitment. If Cooper had Mahrez, Kante, Vardy, we would be flying up the league.
Well, you'd argue we wouldn't be.
No, I would say we could fly even higher with somebody else in charge. But players obviously
would be
reflect.
14th rather than 15th, probably, with that lot under him.
Right.
Well, look, really good question. I mean, the fixture list is absolutely brutal. So it's Man United, Chelsea, Brentford, West Ham, but then it's Brighton, Newcastle. You got Wolves there as well. And also we're getting into the Christmas period where the games start coming every 3 days as well towards the end there as well. So you need your whole squad. You'll probably even see people like Edouard play minutes and get games and stuff like that. It's difficult, but to be honest, I mean, I don't know about you, Manny, but I was a bit surprised that, we got a point against Spurs, first game of the season. I think Villa, we look competitive. I think the only game so far we've really looked like we were a bit clueless was Arsenal, to be honest with you, where it felt a little bit like it was a championship team playing a Premier League team. And even then we somehow got equal back into the game, totally undeserved, which is the Steve Cooper classic at the moment. But I do agree that I think the way that it's going, I think the other thing is if you just look at the underlying data, you can't keep getting away with it, right? You can't keep getting lucky. And I felt like, again, against Ipswich, we got lucky, right? We blatantly didn't deserve anything from that game. We did.
Opposition going down to 10 men.
Yeah.
He's not being awarded.
Yeah.
Slightly familiar tale. And, are we going to get favourable decisions at Old Trafford in the league? Not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Are we going to get favourable decisions against Chelsea, even at home? Unlikely. Brentford away, tough game. Mbuemo's on absolute fire. They've got Visser's back. That's not a game that I'm thinking, a point there would be amazing, for example. And I'm suddenly thinking, with Wolves in particular, who I've been, looking at their fixtures, and we could be in the bottom 3 by Christmas time. It's a realistic possibility. I hear what you're saying, though. I do agree that we didn't look out of it against Villa. We didn't look out of it against Spurs. I didn't see a massive disparity in quality. Even in the Arsenal game, we were 2-2 into injury time, right? So it's not as if it's impossible we can get points. And I think this is going to be the final Steve Cooper challenge. If you get through this period doing well, then definitely I think you'll win over a lot of fans. But if it doesn't, if we start to struggle and we start slipping, and more importantly, if Wolves start to pick up points, the knives will start sharpening.
You're muted, Logs.
This is the last chance to join. Sorry, guys. This is the last chance to join. So you've got 2 minutes. Well, 7:40. That's the cutoff. So if you do want to take part in the call and join by 7:40, Manny, you're talking about the upcoming games. Talk to me on. We spoke with who did we speak? Was it Clibbo? Chelsea, mate. Are you dreading it? Are you? Because I think I'm dreading it. I mean, Anil a couple of weeks ago said it could be like a P Diddy party. That's what he referred to it as. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
I think it's going to be an ugly game for us. If we you're right. If we go head to head, toe to toe, and I've been the biggest supporter of playing that way, but they've just got better players doing the same way. There are weaknesses to the system, particularly Mavadidi and Fatai will be vital. You've got to exploit the space outside the 2 wide centre backs. You've got to, and speed kills in that situation. So I kind of like the setting up, parking the bus, defending deep, and trying to spring on the counter. But the counter means you've got to have 2 advanced players with speed. And if we play that way, like we used to do against Man City, we went away to Man City and I think we won 5-2 once. We can catch them, we can beat that system, but not if we go head to head and play the same way.
Fair enough. Right. Yeah, that's it really, I think. Anything else you wanted to say?
No, move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Onwards and upwards.
Yeah, we have got
Loving
3
the show,
people who
boys.
have been waiting. Yeah, thank you.
And who's next? Who have you got next? Foxer?
No, Costa and then Foxer. Costa.
Awesome. All right, cool. We'll hear from Costa. All right,
because I know Fox is a Foss hubber, right?
He's just written he's coming on.
Yeah, I'm saying he does Foss.
Yeah. He
was on last week.
He loves a whinge, a massive whinge, and you're going to get one coming up shortly. Shout out to you, Foxer.
Right, lovely stuff. Cheers, Manny, mate.
Cheers, boys. Good night.
Right, here is Costa, who's been saying about coming on for a long time, so I'm glad he is finally here. Hello, mate. How are you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Oh, wow. I mean, thanks for having me on, guys. Hi, Lots. Hi, Annie. Anil, sorry. And I never call because I get kind of like stage fright. So bear with me. I love listening to you lots because you remind me of my hometown and how you speak.
Okay.
Very common people in Leicester, ain't we?
Well,
and I don't
I'm
live
not
there.
even. Yeah, I mean, I
Go
live in
on.
Leicester now. I'm originally Wales, actually, but I've adapted. I've adapted.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So I made a few notes. Even I made a comment in this platform, and here's my first one. Let me read. So my point: I dream of a magical hybrid system. Now, is it possible that our manager and players may combine their brains? You know, because let's be honest here before you answer this question, because there was few reservations with Enzo Ball. Example, the passing around our box made everyone nervous, feeling like one mistake and then we'll concede. And that was in the Championship, not even the Premier League. So bear that in mind. Do you reckon Cooper Trooper can actually do it and combine his little knowledge with the knowledge of the players?
And Neil, mate, your best place to take this one, mate.
I would love to say yes, but I've got to say that both my head and my heart say no. For what it's worth, Costa, I think you've actually hit the nail on the head. And I think that is what we need to do, is we need to take the best aspects of this system and slightly modify it for the Premier League. And I think that is what Steve Cooper claimed he was doing at the start of the season. But I think we could all see it for what it was, which was a worse, inferior version of what we've been doing. And then we've tried to go back to what was working last season. But I think you're right that it does need to be adapted. Like, actually, I have to say, for me, I was less concerned about the playing out from the back last season, because I think that's just inevitable going to happen anyway. And I think actually against Ipswich, us not playing out at all is what caused us so much trouble, because we just started kicking it long and actually gave them control of the game. So you need to do it sometimes, even if occasionally they might rub the ball from you. But where I felt that maybe Enzo was a bit too stubborn last season is that oftentimes we'd have like 70% of the ball would be in the final third of the pitch and it was too pedestrian. And I would have liked to have seen us go a bit more direct at times. And I do think Cooper's tried to do that a little bit. So I think there is something to be said for doing a hybrid system. I think ultimately that's what you need to do. And that no system is perfect. Even Pep changes it year to year. You have to. Even Enzo started to do a little bit of changes this season, which we'll come to that in a preview, probably in a few weeks' time. But do I think Cooper's the man to do it? Not really, because I think, look at certain managers, right? Look at the Brighton manager, Hertzler. He's come in after Roberto De Zerbi, and you wouldn't notice the difference. If anything, they're better this season than they were last season. So that's a sign of a good manager. And they're not playing exactly the same, but he's taken a lot of the key principles they've got and improved on it. That's what the good managers do. And unfortunately, what do the worst managers do? They come in and it gets slightly worse. And that's where we are at the moment. So I don't want to be a negative Nelly here, but I guess I am.
Well, you're not usually. That's down to Manny today. You know, he needs to have a bit of faith and remember that foxes never quit. So on that note, my fear, I fear a coup by the senior players. What I mean by that is...
Or is that a good thing?
Well, it's not a good thing if it happens because then you've got a more mess than what we're in. And we are in a mess, but a lot of fans don't see it. We're, in Leicester, we are simple folks. You know, they say the normal things when I get to the games. Get into them. Get rid of it. You know, it's basic cliche stuff. You know,
forward, get it forward.
Yeah, it's simple. Yeah, or they always love to pick on a player. The last one I remember was Chilwell, but it goes all the way back from when I was a young lad and Simon Grayson, which you two probably don't even know.
I don't. Anil will. Anil's old enough. I'm not.
But what was I saying? I told you I get stage fright.
Right, though, Jose Perez got a lot of shit as well. Yeah.
He did, but come on, he was crap. I mean, some people... I did not. He was too slow. He was never impacted. He played one decent game. Come on, Locks.
Well, you know the problem with the Jose Perez, it's going to be the same problem that happened with it's going to happen to Skip. It's the price tag. That's the problem. If a Jose Perez was a £10 million signing or a £15 million signing, then I think it wouldn't have been as critical. But it was 30, and when you compare the player against that price, like Daka, I know Daka's terrible, but if it was 10 million, you wouldn't really care too much, would you? But because it's so much, it's kind of a bit like, oh yeah, no, I'm not having this player. So I think the price tag is the same with a lot of players. Harry Maguire at Man United, it's the same. It's the price tag just completely writes them off.
So I'm going to leave you with this one because obviously you've got loads of people, and I'm very grateful for being on your show, Locks. It's an amazing show.
We're grateful to have you, mate. Honestly, we like to get as many different people as possible.
I like to be positive until I'm not. Because sometimes you just get fed up and you have to have a go, don't you? So imagine a smash and grab against United with us overtaking them in the league table. Imagine the confidence. Imagine what would we all feel like, and the players and the management, everyone involved, if we manage to do that, and then how we look forward. Can we do it?
We can do it. We can, of course we can. I mean, we drew with Spurs, and that was the first game of the season. We hadn't even seen us kick a ball competitively, and I and many others were fearing a thumping, to be honest with you, and we surprised, or they surprised us in the second half. So even the Arsenal game, we came back from 2-0 down, and I know it ended in tears eventually, but the Bournemouth game I didn't expect to win. So not just this team, but Leicester in general have surprised us so many times over the years, and it can definitely happen. After saying all that, it's not going to happen. But in my opinion, it's not going to happen.
You know what? Here, I will be positive. I could see it happening, to be honest with you. Yeah, the cup game will probably make it think, but it won't. But United got quite lucky in that cup game, in my opinion. They definitely deserved to win, but they weren't that brilliant. They've got a lot of weaknesses, and they're poor when they lose the ball on transition. And we'll have both the top wingers playing against them that day. So Clemo's put in chat here, IU for the 90th minute winner. I think it's written in the stars. IU again to be the hero. So,
Anil, do you think there's a chance that we're going to want it more? Because they've got a new manager, they can afford to lose. No one's going to get sacked on that side. But on our side, well, get pasted and, well, you know what our fans are like, fickle.
Definitely possible. I mean, I don't know if you saw the Chelsea game, but what I was really surprised at is that I thought that they might be a bit chaotic, but that Man United would really attack that game just because the emotion had been lifted from a manager being sacked. But it wasn't like that at all. They just played pretty awful, to be honest with you. And maybe Chelsea had a bit too much respect. So I don't think they'll necessarily. I know they'll know the new manager is waiting, but I don't think they'll be playing their hearts out as much as when they first actually played for him. Which good luck for us. They're playing Ipswich after us, so that will be the first game for Amorim. I think that would be probably more of a worry. So I don't know. The only thing I have to say is that our record at Old Trafford is awful. I can only remember us winning there once in a league in my lifetime. Again, showing my age here with Locks, with Tony Cottee getting a winner, and I think that was in the 90s.
Yeah, I remember that.
2000. Yeah, so, but at the same time, it's got to happen sometime. Bournemouth beat Man City, didn't they, on the weekend? And as you say, they're not a good team right now. So yeah, why not? Let's do it. Let's beat Man United.
Let's go for it, eh? Tell Manny, let's go for it.
Yeah, he's away. He doesn't look like he's sat down, so that's a shame. But I'll tell him what you said, mate. Just a quick one, because we asked Ross this because he spoke about the United game. What's your score prediction, Costa?
Well, I'm going to be optimistic. Smash and grab 2-1 City. Get in!
Love it, mate. Love it, mate. All right, Costa. Cheers, mate. Thanks for clicking in. Hopefully,
cheers, lots. Cheers, Daniel.
See ya.
Maybe. Bye.
If that's stage fright, I want that stage fright.
Yeah, tell me about it, man. Come on. Nice one, Costa. Thanks for joining, mate. Much appreciated. Right. We are now on to the guy that Manny was slandering, and it is Foxter. How are you, mate?
Hi, guys. How you guys doing?
Yeah, come here. I mean, I'll let you respond to Manny. Go on.
Okay. So the thing is, me and Manny, we're on the same page with a lot of things, but I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing it before Manny does, because if Manny, he's saying, okay, I win. But the whole point is you want to anticipate what's going to happen, right? You don't want to wait like our board did and then sack Brendan when it's too late. So I've been saying since Spurs, actually forget Spurs. Did you guys watch the preseason game against RC Lens? Did you watch that game? That was awful. And even for preseason standards, you're supposed to see something, a style of play. Like, for example, Maresca, we lost 3-1 to Liverpool in Thailand or Singapore, one of those countries. But you could see Maresca's style of play. Against Lens, that was one of the worst performances I've seen by Leicester. And from then, I was worried because I was like, okay, Cooper doesn't have a style of play. There's no tactics. I don't see an identity. I'm worried. And that translated to the first 45 minutes against Spurs. And then the second half against Spurs, that was more of the team coming together, them doing something, getting that goal and getting back in it. And I think that says a lot for most of our games this season. So we've had 10 games now. And if we're being honest, we haven't had a single 90-minute performance. You could say, some could say, okay, Bournemouth was a clean sheet. If you actually watch that match, the first 45 minutes, we were okay against Bournemouth. Yeah, we scored a goal and then we kept it clean. And then the second 45 minutes, it was onslaught after onslaught after onslaught. Mads Hermansen had to keep holding on to that ball, taking long kicks because we were just trying to run down the clock. That type of football, it's just not sustainable. And like the previous caller mentioned, a smash and grab against United, we shouldn't be basing our evaluation of Cooper based on a single result, but rather look at him over a few games, the ones we played, and try to see what's sustainable, what identity, what is something here that we can move forward with. A smash and grab against United is not that. It actually harms us more, quote unquote, smash and grab, because the board will only look at the result. They're not going to look as deep as maybe some of us are looking into. Especially, Anil, I know you've done coaching badges and things like that before. You're actually looking at the tactical analysis. And I fear that, our board doesn't look at those things because they would have found out Rodgers way before it happened. And likewise, they wouldn't have hired Cooper in the first place if our board were maybe like as competent as Brighton's board or any other board. So that's my response to Manny when it comes to that.
Yeah, because to give a bit of context, well, I'm sure you saw it, Fox, or if you are in the group chat, but today, Anil, there was a bit of back and forth with Manny, myself, and a couple others about criticism towards the board. Manny wholeheartedly disagrees with that completely. He doesn't think there should be any criticism towards the board because of past achievements. So,
okay, so the whole point of past achievements is you're trying to build something, right? Vichai, he bought this club. He had a vision. He wanted to take Leicester to the top. He didn't want to win a league and then, throw it out the window. And that's what Manny's backing if he's saying you can't criticize the board. Well, the board have literally thrown Vichai's legacy out the window. And it's a shame, really, because of, the whole helicopter situation and how sentimental it is for obviously Top and his family and how, the state of Leicester as it is right now. So if anything, we should be criticizing the board because it's not fair on Vichai. Vichai's not here to see what's happened to Leicester, but we can see. And yeah, that's what I have to say.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Anything from you, Anil, mate?
No, loads of good points there. Actually, I did do a video with Neil from Beyond the 90 about the Lens game, and oh my god, it was horrific, that one. I think the thing that we said is there was a really exciting English manager playing great football, but unfortunately that was Will Still of Lens. So it was like, there was a brilliant team there that began with L, but it wasn't Leicester. So that was a bit of a shame. But yeah, that was definitely the worrying signs are there. I think, to be fair, Cooper's not been as bad as that game because that was really horrendous. That was alarm calls. But you're right, I think, to say about the whole DOF. Like, my stance on that is I think that Rudkin's more of a managing director rather than or a general manager like they have in the US sport. They don't have someone who necessarily looks after the football aspect, and that could be good to have at the club. Someone has a continuity plan. So if if one manager goes, who the players and the style of play is going to be. That's the thing that's really missing. And I think that's what's broken here is we've gone for another manager, but he doesn't really have the same style of play. So that's why we've got some problems. So I could go on and on about that for ages, but he's our manager for now. Let's get behind him. Let's see what it is. I also agree with the whole Vichai thing. Do you remember when he said would get European football after, within 5 years. He did it in 3, including winning the Premier League. You're like, oh, wow, okay, well, he weren't messing about. But Guntop hasn't actually said anything like that. He does say that he will take the club seriously and he wants to invest in the club, which I think is true, but he's never made a statement as bold as that. So I think personally that criticism of the board is entitled, because it's a bit like being a rock star. You're only as good as your last album.
Well, exactly. I agree. And what you said there actually about the, like Brighton, for example, how they have their set style and their next manager choice is based off that. I mean, we were told, official sources like Radio Leicester had information which they publicised that the board were looking at managers of a similar ilk to Enzo Maresca, and we end up with Steve Cooper. It's crazy, man.
Yeah. And Graham Potter, we don't know what happened behind the scenes, whether it was a compensation package from Chelsea, whether he wanted a DOF. Those are the two biggest rumors. We don't know which one it is, or both. So who knows what could have happened. But I think Steve Cooper was definitely, we wouldn't have Steve Cooper in the first place without the points deduction looming over us. But now that that's gone, I think even when he gets sacked, there's going to be such a large array of managers to pick from, as long as we're in a good position, obviously. If we're rock bottom like Southampton, it's worse. That's why if you sack him when we're 15th, or even, where we are right now, a manager coming in won't look at it as like, oh, it's going to be a relegation scrap. They're okay, Leicester City's in 15th. Man United are in, 13th? So they're going to look at it from that lens. Leicester's not actually doing too bad. So they might want to take the job, and we'd have a better pick of managers.
I agree. But I also would say that it's a very difficult situation for the board. That specific situation, like they know on one hand that, even 15th place, they'll be more attractive to managers, but then they've also got to look at it as like, can we really sack our manager when we're 15th and outside the bottom 3? I would agree that yes, you can, but I don't think it would be frowned upon by a lot of people.
Locks, last season, Palace, they got rid of Roy Hodgson, who'd been amazing for them, and they brought in Ollie Glasner. Now, to be fair, we're above Palace at the moment, but Glasner's the better coach than Cooper, and he won a Europa League, right? So that shows you if Crystal Palace can go and get a manager like that, who've had recent success, surely we should be able to get a top manager like that too.
And we don't even need to take someone out of a job. There's plenty of managers who have done stuff in their careers who are for example, Mancini's just been sacked by the Saudi national team. We don't know what we've seen what he can do in the past. Some might say, oh, he's a dinosaur manager or whatever. But the point is, he has a proven track record. He's won the title with Man City. He's won the Euros with Italy. It's a safer bet to go with someone like that than when you're sort of gambling.
Would you not go with another Pep disciple, mate?
I think that's what Manny would go to, but I think for disciple, the thing with the Pep disciple,
I was fishing for that because I've just seen him sit back down. I was fishing for that.
the thing with a Pep disciple is you can't really. That's a big risk to do it mid-season when Cooper doesn't play that way, and you're not giving him a full transfer window. Like Arteta's been back to the tune of 800 million, and still they haven't won a league title. So what's telling you that some guy can come into Leicester City and do a good job? Because you need to back them when you have that sort of project manager. So that's why I'd be wary about hiring an assistant. Rather, I'd prefer Mancini, because at minimum you're not going to get relegated with Mancini as your manager. That's simple. That you'll at least be safe in that respect. And then if you want to build a project in the future, then maybe you can think about the whole project manager like Arteta or Maresca.
Well, thank you very much, Foxer, mate. Much appreciated. Again, I'll say the same to you that I've said to others. Make sure to click in as much as you can in the future as well, because there may be a Monday where we're doing this show and we are talking about who the next manager is going to be. So will be interesting. Yeah, I hope so, mate. So do I.
See you guys.
Anyway, see you, Foxer, mate. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
ending off the show tonight is Ant. Here he is. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, all good. You?
All good, all good, all good. What did you fancy talking about tonight?
So it's just Steve Cooper. I'm not as avidly Steve Cooper out as you guys are, but it feels like, and again, I wouldn't say I'm particularly Steve Cooper in. I just think he's doing just enough at the moment to justify keeping his job. But it doesn't feel like there's any longevity in it at all. It just feels like he's 2 or 3 bad results away from it turning, and it feels like he could go on a very good run, and then it's just people still waiting for that next bad run, because it feels like even when we're picking up results, it's not. I feel like it's not Steve Cooper picking up the results; it's the individual quality within our team. Now, I might be being really unfair to Steve Cooper there, but
it's Jordan Ayew. That's who's doing it. That's why he signed him, because he bail him out of trouble.
But he's not the long-term answer, is he? Even if he keeps us up this year, it's completely against what King Power have done since they've been in charge, is these short-term managers. So, do you think that even though we're 15th in the league at the moment, obviously we got a draw last game, we won against Southampton, so we are picking up points. Is it realistic for him to be sacked at the moment? Because for me, I think the board won't look at the underlying numbers and those kind of stats in the same way that we do. They will purely look at the scoreline at the end of the game. And that's why I think that players like an individual quality are going to keep him in a job more than his managerial ability.
I don't know about you, Neil, but I agree with what Ant is saying there, because I know that I said, if we go into the bottom 3, I think I have faith the board will act quite quickly, relatively quickly. However, again, I just alluded to it with Foxer. I just can't see it happening when we're outside of that, because I just think there would be a lot of backlash, media and some fans and all of that. I think there will be a lot of backlash on it. Oh, you're a newly promoted team and you're sacking a manager when you're 15th, 16th. I think it's the right decision to do it. I agree with you. I just don't think it will happen. And I mean,
what if it's toxic at the King Power though? Because
it could be. It
was where I sit, because I'm back row of SK3. After the Forest game, it was incredibly toxic. But I do think that's because of it being Forest as well, adds another layer to it. Like that, as much as like we say we're 15th in the league and this, that, and the other, at some point your luck runs out. And I feel like we've been very lucky in a lot of the games where we've got points. Tottenham should have been out of sight by the time we equalised. That should have been about 3 or 4-0 at that point. I think you can see why Ipswich haven't won a game this season with the amount of chances they wasted. As much as they want to moan about referees, it's like, I get that, but at the same time, when that was Leicester at Palace, we didn't really care about the referees. We were more concerned about our own performances and the fact that actually you need to see games out at this level.
That's very true, It's very true,
Bournemouth, were we like... We weren't convincing, were we? We scraped it against Bournemouth and Southampton. It's like, so we're picking up these results, and we knew it was going to be difficult this season, but it's not sustainable.
I've got a question to both of you, and they'll answer it first. Have we even had a convincing point all season? Like one point that has been convincing? Because I don't think we have.
We haven't. Because even Palace, that we were pretty good, we just completely went into our defensive shell at the end. So at the end, I mean, yeah, it was... Well, maybe that was a deserved point, but we should have got 3 if we didn't have a coward there in charge. But no, to answer your question, Locks, no, I can't think of one. If anything, that should show you what the potential of the squad is, though. They've got this many points with no one really saying we've been playing that well. But it's also a bit depressing too, isn't it? How would you answer that, Ant?
Can I just flip that, though? You said we haven't been playing that well, which I agree with. Do you reckon that could be why they persist with Cooper? Because they're like, if it clicks, then we could very quickly move up the table. Just playing devil's advocate, I don't believe it at all. But
no, I hear you, but I think if that is the case, it would be a very, very, very bad way of looking at it from the board. I think you should be looking at it as, well, if this team aren't playing well and they're getting this many points, if we get a new manager that comes in and he does get them playing, we could be mid-table, I don't know about you, Anil, but
I think
there's a lot more negatives than positives.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, if you look historically, I feel like King Power as a company, they have a long-term strategic view. I'm pretty sure they've even said that that's the way that they do business. So they said like when they signed Leicester or they bought Leicester, they weren't thinking about what was going to happen the next year. They were thinking about what's going to happen 10, 15, 20 years in the future. And I think they do that a lot, even with the club. So if they've appointed Cooper, I genuinely think they've appointed Cooper and they've got a strategy for either 1 or 2 years, and therefore they'll keep to it. So the only way they'll deviate is if something happens alarmingly that makes that strategy not apply. So if their strategy is, okay, we appointed Cooper to keep us up this season, as you say, for as long as them not being in the relegation zone, I don't think they'll rush in. And that has some benefits and some disadvantages, but that's generally how they work. And that's why, for example, say even with Rodgers, I think many other clubs would have pulled the trigger way faster. But for them, they were like, well, you know, we're still not down yet. It's not mathematically, you know, certain, etc., etc.
Do you think, though, sorry to put in, do you think, though, you say about long-term plans and long-term visions, do you think he was appointed with one eye on the Championship because of an expected points deduction?
I don't. I'll let you answer in a sec, but I don't. I honestly think it was the choice was Potter. It was Potter and Cooper, and they went all out for Potter. And for whatever reason, we've heard 2 or 3 different stories. Whatever reason, it didn't happen, and Cooper was the option B. That's what I think. I don't think it's anything to do with the Championship. But go on, Anil.
Well, I keep saying that Corberan, Potter, and Cooper all had experience in the Championship. So I do think that. But I think, like I said, I think their selection criteria is we want a manager who we think can keep us up in the Premier League. But if this went against us, we'd have a really good chance in the Championship. And that's actually why I think Corberan didn't make the final cut. I don't think it's necessarily a cost, but Corberan has never kept a team in the Premier League because he's never managed in the Premier League. So that's my
But you know what the worry, if that is true, the worrying part of that is that would suggest that they are willing to just go down without sacking the manager.
That's true.
That is the worry. Are they willing to just go down, not sacking him? They're going to have to pay him out if they do that. Take us down, and then let him bring us back up. That is a worry if that is the case. The last question I want to ask you, Ant, is if Ipswich and Leicester, their managers were switched, would the gap be smaller or bigger?
I think bigger, but I'm still to be convinced of Kieran McKenna at Premier League level. We talk about the difference of players in between the standard of Championship and Premier League. I think that can apply to managers as well. So I think he's a great up-and-coming manager, but ultimately he's yet to win a game of Premier League football as a manager. So it's such a small sample size.
Anil, gap bigger or smaller if we had McKenna and they had Cooper? Yeah.
It's going off the screen. That's my opinion. I do see what Ant is saying, and you could say is it a bit like Vincent Kompany where they maybe should play a slightly different style because this one's leaving them overexposed. But I think he's a top manager. I mean, you saw I did a preview for Ipswich and like some of the things they do, their patterns of play. I will say in that game against us, right, they were playing out from the back the whole way through the game. We stopped doing it, but they never stopped doing it. Maybe towards the end, that was the naivety of Sam Morsey that he should have just like hoofed it rather than trying to keep it. But I think it's admirable. And I think basically Kieran McKenna, if you gave him a good team, he's going to do very good, as Enzo Maresca has proven. I don't know which one is better out of those two. That's an interesting debate. But yeah, I see a very bright future for him. And I would love to have someone like him in charge of Leicester. I think plays a very entertaining style of football as well. Maybe not so good for your heart, but definitely entertaining.
There we go. Thank you, Ant, mate. Thanks for clicking. As your last caller, go on, tell everyone where they can subscribe.
Ant's Leicester fan channel, lots of Leicester City content about to go live in about 2 minutes over there with a couple of people. So do come over and make sure to check it out. Cheers for having me.
There we go. That's it. That's everyone's evening content sorted for the night. Once this ends, they can go over and see Ant. Cheers, Ant, mate. Hopefully see you next week as well. All right, mate. In a bit. Cheers. Right. That is the end of the show, which means who is caller of the day, Anil? Who do we give it to?
For me, I've got to go for Costa because I think for someone who had stage fright, great personality, good questions, that would be my pick for today. How about you?
Yeah, let's do it. We've never disagreed on this, so let's stick with that. We'll give it to Costa. Here he is. He says, Anil, to answer your question on whether a coup by the players would be good or bad, my answer is no, because Top will take too long to sack Cooper. So there we go. That is my worry as well. Thank you to you, Clement, and thank you to everybody who's got all their comments in and all the likes and subscribes and all of that. I forgot to mention at the start, we have as well hit 5K today, 5,000 subscribers. So thank you to every single one of you. It's very much appreciated. Next top 10, you know, who knows? Next top 10. Anything to say, Neil?
No. Well, thanks everyone who joined the chat today. Have a good one. Catch us on Fox's Den on Wednesday.
Fox's Den on Wednesday. Cheers all. See you soon. Bye.